Welcome everyone to the Team Yume podcast starring Madhog and the prodigal son, Devar.
That's the first time I've ever been introduced that way.
Well, you went away, but then you returned.
Oh, that's what you mean.
And that totally warrants a biblical reference.
Yeah, sure it did.
Bible for Dummy, written by Madhog the Master, in bookstores now. Right, So we mentioned you went away, but where exactly have you been? Tell us.
Well,
Tell us.
Yes, I'm about to tell you.
Tell us.
Yes, I'm about to tell you, and Janet, and Marjorie, and Timothy, and Jeff. So yeah,
Tell us.
I've been gone to Poland for the last 2 weeks, meeting with my fiance's family, as we do every year whenever we go to Poland. My fiance used to live in a town of Ostrołęka. I do not know if anyone from Poland is watching this video, but if I butchered the town name, I am very sorry. But it's quite a nice place, actually. Yeah, it's a very nice, large city with lots of shops to check out. But while we were there, we actually also went to 3 other places. One I forgot the name of entirely because I only heard the name of it once. And the other place was Stegna, which has a very lovely beach.
Stegna.
Yeah, Stegna.
You know, this reminds me, isn't it tragically ironic that the capital of Poland, Warsaw, means something different in English? The city that saw the war, which is tragically appropriate?
Yeah, that's kind of bad in that case. Anyway, for the third place I went
to...
let's
change argument. That's a clever choice.
For the third place we went to, though, I actually went to the place where I believe his name was Copernicus was buried.
Yes, Copernicus. He was, the guy who said the Earth was not in the center of the universe before Galileo did. He has that acknowledgement.
Sadly, I'm going to have to tell an embarrassing story here about this particular moment, because me being the dummy that I am, not realizing what the significance of the place was, I basically took out my phone and said to my fiancée, just give me a moment, I have to take a photo of this lady, of the statue of this lady here. and she looked at me going that's Copernicus. and I just looked at her and looked back to the statue.
If you thought that Bishonen were not drawn back in the day, you are wrong.
Yeah, they were made from statues. Sorry, Copernicus.
Oh, man. Well, we had a female pope at some point.
Oh.
Maybe Copernicus.
No.
Alternative history facts.
Alternative histories of alternate dimensions.
Yes, #Cobfefe. Whatever that means. Is it still relevant? Who cares?
No, I wouldn't know because I haven't been on Twitter for the past 3 weeks now.
You haven't missed much of anything, really.
I'm glad I didn't miss much other than E3, though I did keep up to date with that.
Like I said, you have not missed much of anything. Burn.
Yes, so, all the burns.
Essentially, you had a good trip in Poland.
Yeah, I had a good trip in Poland, save for 2 sleepless nights in the caravan when we were camping out.
You were camping in a caravan? That is so coast-to-coast ride quaint.
It was something made by her father from scratch, actually.
Oh, that's neat.
The seats that we were seated in had a table in front of us. The downside is I can't read or concentrate on anything while I'm in a moving vehicle, otherwise I get sick.
You are not alone in that regard.
Yeah, The downside to this caravan was the sleeping arrangements for 4 people is extremely cramped. And no matter what I did to try and fall asleep, I could not fall asleep in that place.
Yes, I am exactly like that when I travel to a new place and I sleep on a different bed, which more often than not, it's a far smaller bed than the one I'm used to, because I'm a big boy. I am tall and I am wide. I require a large bed.
Yeah, I have no idea why I was having trouble sleeping those nights. I just couldn't sleep. I don't know whether it was because of the fact it was cramped, or the mattress, or whether it was because of the fact that her father was sleeping right above both me and my fiancé.
Oh, if I know anything about fathers, they tend to snore.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't really the reason I couldn't sleep, though.
Oh, I get it. Say no more.
Please,
wink,
no.
Wink, nudge,
no,
nudge.
No winks.
Say
no winks,
no more.
No nudges and winks. Not in front of the parents.
That's exactly why you couldn't do it.
Oh gosh, you.
Yes, me.
I
Hello.
Nice
to meet you, Madhog.
I come back to this.
Yes, and to segue to the next topic, I will come to you next.
Uh-oh.
Because guess what? Somebody has booked a flight to a certain country to visit a certain someone.
Oh jeez, I wonder who that could be.
It's the country of England.
Yes?
It's the town of Ossett, West Yorkshire.
Yes?
And it's me.
Wow, that sounds totally familiar.
Yes. I cannot even... Yes, I am going to visit Devar's hometown this August. We've been talking about it for a couple of years.
Yes.
We said we were going to do it at some point, and now this year I've just went and done it. I booked a flight, I reserved a hotel in the center of town, and I'm going to meet up with Devar and his family and have wacky British adventures together.
Yes, wacky British adventures with a guy who doesn't act like the typical British man or woman.
And the tourist comes in and all he does is Monty Python references, because we're in jolly old England. Oh, yes, I can picture it right now.
Yes, you embarrassing yourself in front of everybody.
Actually, I was picturing us cosplaying as Laurel and Hardy for some reason.
Well, it kind of works. I mean, I need a bowler hat, though.
Also, if we're going to reenact a chasing sequence from the Benny Hill show, we're going to need the appropriate music.
And also, we'd probably need the cheeky humor of the time.
What humor? All you need to do is run around and then speed up footage, and there you have it. Yes.
I believe there was more than that to a Benny Hill show.
Oh, yes, also tits.
I meant like the other sketches before those chase sequences.
As I said, tits.
I thought there was bloomers involved too, but never mind.
Tits and bloomers, that's the extent of the humor in that show.
Oh boy.
I mean, Benny Hill is one of those phenomenons that everybody has heard of at some point or the other, but nobody has ever bothered to actually sit down and watch. I can guarantee you that. Me being the exception.
I think Poland's the also exception, because apparently it's so popular in Poland that it's on TV airways a lot.
Now, that's unfortunate.
Yes, it kind of is. I mean, I was intrigued to see a British comedy that's not shown much here for some reason.
For good reasons, I assume.
I would not know, actually, because I cannot turn off the dubbed person when I want to see what the jokes are about and all, to see if the humor is any good myself.
No, No, it isn't.
Not everyone can be as classy as the two Ronnies, I guess.
The two Ronnies?
Yeah, Ronnie Corbett and Ronnie Barker. Bless their souls.
Alright, Devar, once I get there, you're going to have to instruct me about your best comedians, because the only ones I know are the Monty Python gang and Benny Hill. I guess you can count also Zac Frost and the other guy, because I watch Edgar Wright's movies.
I have to admit, I don't know much about modern comedians or stand-up ones for that matter. I mean, I know a couple of names of some silly people.
Also, Peter Dinklage used to be a comedian before snatching the role of his career in Game of Thrones. I remember seeing him in Death at a Funeral by Frank Oz.
Ah.
Which was one of those madcap comedies that are funny, really funny when you watch it the first time, and it's not funny at all when you watch it a second time, because every joke relies on shock and surprise.
Shock and surprise! I must admit I'm more in the know about classic British comedy than I am about modern British comedies, since modern British comedies kind of lost touch and wit, essentially, that was prevalent in the old days of British comedies. Modern British comedies tend to rely on a certain formula. You always have a dumb person in there. You always have to have the angry person in there too.
So it's the tried and true Laurel and Hardy formula that has existed for decades upon decades?
Maybe that, but I wouldn't know where it began.
You have never watched a sketch by Laurel and Hardy, have you?
I've only seen the classic black and white.
Okay. Go back and watch their famous piano sketch. It's available on YouTube. It is by far their funniest sketch. They're all pretty funny still to this very day to me, because their brand of slapstick humor is immortal. And particularly that sketch just has me rolling on the floor laughing to this very day. And that's really interesting, because comedy tends to age the fastest.
Because
time changes and tastes change and all of that. Their comedy is somehow somewhat timeless for the most part. There was an entire sketch in which Oliver was stuck trying to fit in a damn boot, which he couldn't. Yeah. It went on for about 10 minutes. It never stopped being hysterical. That is class.
I find a lot of our British comedies tend to be timeless, with the Monty Python, Fawlty Towers.
Well, even Monty Python has some skeletons here and there. All of their gay jokes, they had not aged all too well.
No, that's probably one of the few that have not aged well.
They tended to use some racist portrayals of African tribesmen occasionally for some of their sketches, some of their more madcap sketches.
Strange enough, we had quite a fair few British comedies based around World War II, actually.
Are we the baddies? Yes, I know about that one.
Have you? What? You heard about Hello Hello?
I heard about that one gag involving the Nazi becoming self-aware. Are we the bad guys? Why do we have a skull as a symbol?
Because there was two particular ones that were very popular, and that was Hello Hello, which basically took place in France when it was taken over by Germans, the Nazi Germans, of course, and the other one, which was called Dad's Army, which basically told of the escapades of the National Home Guard in England.
Fascinating.
And yeah, there's a lot more to it, but if I say any more, it probably will
spoil it.
Well, it's more lines of I can't do the comedy justice. Like, you have this young man who's dressed as an old man. He actually makes a very convincing old man at the time. He's called Jack Jones the Butcher, and he's fought in World War I. And he's always got this thing about, the Germans, they don't like it up him, sir. They don't like it up him. He's got the bayonet.
When I get there, you will have to show me something.
I'll have to see if I can show you some things
I
here and
mean,
there.
in between all the things that I will force you to do with me, you will barely have any free time left because we had to play lots of games, we had to record lots of things, we had to do lots of things. Lots of things. But anyway, we shall organize ourselves in that regard at a later date.
Yes.
For now, we are podcasting about... Oh, Blackadder. I know and love Blackadder. Rowan Atkinson's best body of work. Mr. Bean can go down the toilet for all I care. Blackadder is where the comedy is at.
Blackadder is definitely considered a golden classic. That's Britain.
Blackadder, he rides, etc., etc. I like how all the seasons after the first one are completely different in the presentation of the main character, because he's a bumbling buffoon in the first season set in the medieval times.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, he is the only smart man in a world of fools. And he's a snarky bastard.
Yeah, which I admit it works better for Rowan Atkinson in that case, for Blackadder.
Also for his fantastic cohorts, such as Hugh Laurie, which nowadays is more known for being Dr. House.
Yeah, which is very weird if you know about him in Britain.
It's very weird if you know him as a very specific character in Blackadder.
Well, huzzah, sir! We're gonna dine on tea and crumpets and take out the Germans in one fell swoop before then.
Was that season 4?
Yeah, that was Blackadder Go Forth. I remember him for that particular one, other than being the, the dumb prince from the third one.
Actually, that is my favorite Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, it actually is one of my favorites as well. For some reason, I always remember the episode of when the Scarlet Pumpernickel, I think it was called.
Oh, yes! Blackadder at the end of it convinces the prince that he was the Scarlet whatever and the other, which is par for the course. Season 2, I remember, was during the Elizabethan era, and we have actually a character.
Yeah.
We have actually an actress playing as Elizabeth, which portrays her in a very unflattering manner.
Well, yeah. I think that's part of the cause, I guess.
Yes, I guess. I also remember a special, a Blackadder Christmas special, in which we have a reverse Christmas Carol scenario. A ghost comes to visit him, and he's already a good guy, but then accidentally convinces him to be a terrible person. By showing him clips of his past life, as in the past seasons of the show.
I really like that one, actually. I especially like the ridiculousness of the future that they showed off.
You know, I need to go back and rewatch Blackadder one of these days.
Just like how I need to rewatch the old version of Thomas the Tank Engine just to see how...
That's completely random.
Yeah, it is actually.
Completely random segue to Thomas the Tank Engine. We were talking about witty, gritty, brutal British comedy of the snarkiest variety, and now Thomas the Tank Engine. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Happy thoughts, children.
I hate to admit it, but while I'm in Poland, I leave the TV on the one that has cartoons on it. And to my horror, I saw the CGI fest of the new version of Thomas the Tank Engine.
Ooh. Does his mouth move at the very least?
Oh my gosh, it does, and it doesn't look right.
You'd think that... an unmoving mouth would be much creepier, like how in the old Garfield cartoons, Garfield would never move the mouth when he speaks, which to me, as a child watching it, was the creepiest, most unexplained thing I could ever see. As a kid, I could believe in everything. Suspension of disbelief was not a prerogative. But that is the one thing that took me out of it. Why doesn't he speak when he speaks? That makes no sense! My child's mind broke up in small pieces. I could not seriously watch those cartoons for that one seemingly petty reason. I'm sorry, that's my limit. A talking cat that doesn't talk? No, siree.
A talking cat that doesn't move his lips?
If I wanted an animal that doesn't speak while speaking at the same time, I would rewatch The Last Unicorn. Thank you very much.
I was watching the 3D version of Thomas the Tank Engine, and despite the fact I couldn't understand Polish, I still had to look at it and think, why does this look so stranger than them not actually moving their lips in the old version? It had a lot more character, seeing kind of akin to a trained playset sort of deal, but being stop motion animation sort of style, rather than just, hey, 3D, just like everything else that's on television right now.
Actually, surprisingly, 3D animation is still somewhat rare on television. Flash animation is still much more typical, and traditional too.
Well, yeah, there is a bit of 2D animation in some places, here and there, but I swear I see more often than not 3D cartoons.
I mean, if you go out of your way to watch the newest Maya the Bee cartoons, I cannot help you with that. I guess. Sure, Maya the Bee, we have this German and Japanese produced animated series back in the 70s. That's a classic. So now we have this CGI monstrosity, including that CGI film from 2 to 3 years ago that I did not bother with. And you know what is the one thing that irks me the most about the newest design of Maya the Bee?
What would that be?
She doesn't have the sting! The bees don't have their stings! They're all dead! They're all undead bees! They're all cadavers!
They must have stung someone.
Frankenstein!
They must have stung somebody, and then they died, and then Dr. Huckabee came along and revived them all.
Wow, are you referencing my one D&D campaign?
Yes.
Oh boy. You know, it's canon. I mean, it's head canon in my head.
I shall revive this 2D classic of bees who are now dead with 3G monstrosities.
And what's the deal with them not having a sting anymore? Yes, my poor Jerry Seinfeld impersonation was Dr. Huckabee in that one-shot campaign. Yes.
Yes, I don't know what came over me, I just thought it made sense to my head.
Either that or the pain from Metal Gear Solid 3. Anyway, so I cannot wait to come visit you this August. As I said, I booked a nice hotel in the town center. It looked really nice. I fully expect the concierge to greet me in such a manner. Welcome to the Cobweb Hotel! Yes! And then they will show me to my web-made bed, and I check in and I never leave.
You have to tell me if they're going to be the overly polite and good hosts to their guests in the hotel, or whether there's going to be the straight to business, I'm not going to care about my job sort of people.
I think you'll find out, because I'm going to invite you up in my room to record vlogs. I mean, if we cannot do it at your place.
You'll have to see, because there's a few places here and there in the house, and I'm pretty sure my parents will not mind so much if we're doing some recordings, as long as it's not in the middle of the night, I guess.
You mean like right now?
Yeah,
I see a problem with that.
Yeah. Well, I do try to keep my voice down, but then again, they're way downstairs these days, because we had a extension built, because the years are not very kind to my dad's knees.
Okay, switching gears for other topics of discussion.
Yeah. I've
started playing Skyrim again.
Wow. I know that game is really good, for what it...
It's not, but it's fun. Okay, one thing that Bethesda does right every time is creating a large open world that does not feel like a sandbox. Ironically, it's vibrant, it's filled with possibilities and action to take and dungeons to discover and exploration upon exploration. It's addicting. You can build your character to be whatever you want it to be. I like to be a sneaky mage assassin with a firebolt in one hand and a dagger in the other.
Yeah, which is one thing I really like and appreciate about the way it handles that sort of thing. You could do magic in either both hands or have just magic in one hand.
Yes,
and a weapon in the other.
But that doesn't really detract from the fact that Bethesda's games are notoriously broken. Now, I understand that a game as massive, and it is massive, I cannot overstate enough how gigantic this game is. But inevitably, when you're developing this massive of a game, with so many elements in it, inevitably, something turns out to be glitchy and broken as it can possibly be. And you would think that since the version that I'm playing is the newest PS4 remastered with sparkly new graphics, and all of that, you would think that since this is the newest version and they had all the time to fix previous mistakes, they would have actually fixed said mistakes, right? You would think that the newest version has resolved all of its glitches, all of its bugs, right?
No.
To my immense joy, they have not fixed anything. And this sounds condescending for me to say, but one of the best features of this game are the bugs. Because they are just hilarious.
And unpredictable, really.
Yes!
It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yes, it's the Skyrim box set. So, we have the classics, such as people fading in and out of doors while they are speaking to you. And also, enemy units getting stuck on a wall while they're trying to run and kill you. But then there are new ones that I have never come across before.
Like what?
Such as a guy just blocking me in a cutscene while I'm fighting a freaking dragon and I get killed because of that. Or, my personal favorite, people randomly showing up, killing my horse while I'm riding it, and then leaving me alone once they're done killing my horse.
I think there must have been the headhunters or something for the horse. Like, going like, hey, look, there's Dangerous Dan the horse.
Dangerous Dan the horse.
We have to take him out and reap the rewards.
Well, I mean, I heard about beating a dead horse, but never killing a live horse.
Yes, and then they beat the dead horse.
No, they leave it alone, that's the thing, after it's dead. And I'm just standing there like a complete moron, not understanding what was going on. They were just, we're going to kill you! And then, once the horse is done, they just put their swords away and, well, time to go back to work. Do-do-do-do-do.
I can imagine now.
Have a good day.
I can imagine now you with the helmet on your head and you're just like, your hands up, like, going like, what the heck, man? You killed my horse!
Well, actually, being a mage assassin, I'm always wearing mage robes. And nothing else, because I have to replenish my magicka as fast as I can. I have to enlarge my magicka reservoir as much as I can. And that's really my priority, because I fully depend on that. But the perks of balancing this out with also sneak and one-handed weapon training is that if I run out of magicka during a fight, I can still stab somebody, which has that usefulness to it.
Yes, which is useful to have.
Of course, I'm extremely frail, so I need to be careful.
Well, yeah, duh. Mages are usually the most frail people.
Yes. Well, I'm also wearing light armor, so... Which really, it's literally a sweater with a skull on it.
I just imagine, here's your light armor, sir. Are you sure this is armor? Yep, totally is armor, sir.
Well, at least it's not as revealing as regular woman's armor. So there is that. Now, the reason why I'm actually going with both all-powerful Mage of Destruction and sneaky, 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 kill you easy as breezing.
Yes.
My two favorite moments of the game were always the Dark Brotherhood arc and the Magic High School, I guess. The Wizard School of Magic and whatnot. Harry Potter-esque. Ooh, look at me. I'm a big shot arch-wizard that can bend the fabric of reality. But I'm also a sneaky assassin that goes around killing people and slitting their throats because I'm so sneaky, yes. And those are my two favorite things to do in Skyrim, described to you in the most juvenile way I could think of.
Skyrim, the game that lets you play as your
14-year-old power fantasy avatar.
That's it. That's what I was thinking of.
Actually, I always play as a female character in these games.
Yeah, it depends for me. I tend to either go for the male or female. Oh yeah,
by the way, I am a cat girl.
Of course you are, and Ross will love you for it.
Well, in my original run of the game, I was a dark elf. I regret that decision. It is so Philistine. You know? No, I had to be a furry animal, which unfortunately has realistic feline traits, and that's a bit uncanny. I would have preferred if everything looked like an anime, because in that context, the cat girl is just normal. You know, it's something normal that's featured there, and you don't question it because it's anime.
Yeah, but
I just hope somebody makes a mod.
Well, they've made a mod for everything, including Randy Savage as a dragon.
Yes.
They also had Thomas the Tank Engine as dragons.
Yes.
They also had Pinkie Pie being playable.
I know all of those.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, this PS4 version, actually, you can add modes to it. The downside is that they are serious modes, not wacky and silly ones, that you can get from the Bethesda.net account. They should improve your game experience, such as better AI and discourse choices for the friendly NPCs. Unfortunately, they disabled the trophies for that.
Well, I guess
I don't care about the trophies, but still, if I do something outstanding, like, for example, managing to kill a dragon with a fireball while I launched myself at it from a higher ground, I would like to have somebody recognize my indubitable awesomeness. Is that wrong?
Well, no, especially since it takes a screenshot on the PS4, so that gives even more bragging rights.
Anyway, so yes, the bottom line is that I'm playing Skyrim again. Oh, and my character's name, in case you would be interested, is Malicia Meowtant.
That's a very unique name.
Actually, it is the name I used to give to my Necomata unit when I used to play Disgaea.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess.
Whenever I think about how much I loved the Necomata unit in the Disgaea series, I think about, man, one of these days I would love to play Disgaea 5 and see how that one goes. But then, as soon as I think that, I remember the countless hours of pain and suffering that took me to grind every single one of my units to perfection, and I say to myself, no, never again.
Well, I have grinding nightmares of one RPG in particular back in the PS2 era, and that was Valkyrie Profile, Sumeria. That game was so grindy it was not even funny. If you really wanted to get through that game, you had to spend ages for one level up. Then again, it's not as bad as Dragon Quest VIII, though.
Ish. Or any of the Dragon Quest games, really.
Well, I only played Dragon Quest VIII, really.
Yes, I played
yeah.
5 and 9, so yes.
So I played Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King. And I remember one of the most infuriating things of when I was playing that game was I decided at one point in the game I had to get new armor if I was going to continue the game because, I had to keep the party alive. And so I needed gold. And the only way to get gold is by defeating enemies. And it took me an entire working day in order to even get enough money for one piece of armor.
Yeesh.
And I had to do this, multiple times for 4 characters.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
I feel like as if I chose poorly in the PS2 era when it came to RPGs. I either had something wrong with the story, there's something wrong with the gameplay, well, with the, the numbers within, the rewards. I swear that half the time I didn't feel rewarded.
The Dragon Quest games I played were pretty bad when it comes to grinding and farming. Never this bad.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played it in, years, but that really stuck in my head, that. And I was actually in the area of where they were selling the armor, so I wasn't doing this in, a low-level area, so to speak. So that was kind of baffling.
I understand. Right then. Before we go, I would like to talk about a recent webcomic I've come across.
Oh?
By accident, mostly. Sometimes good things come from skimming through your Twitter feed.
Okay.
Sometimes I get to discover a new comic artist that I did not know about, and I get to discover what they're doing, and I get to witness something truly special.
Oh?
Actually, I should say, this is not a web comic so much as it is a web manga. Ho ho ho.
Ah, a web manga.
Well, you read it right to left as opposed to left to right, so by definition that is a Japanese-style comic.
Yes.
AKA a manga. Now, I don't know if the artist himself or herself is Japanese, but chances are they are. And they translate the comics themselves in English.
Alright.
And it goes about as well as you might imagine. The translation is not that bad, but there are some noticeable mistakes that are inevitably funny.
Well, that can happen if you're not exactly well versed into the finer points of the English language.
Ah, wouldn't I know about that? Oh, tales. But anyway, this web manga is interesting for a very special reason.
Yeah.
I shall explain to you what this manga is about, what the story is, because the story, premise-wise, is extremely intriguing. It seems like the kind of premise that you would see in a regularly published manga in some shonen magazine and what have you. Except leaning more towards horror and pure body horror in that sense. The manga takes place in a non-specific location, in a non-specific world in which its inhabitants are haunted by these spiral-shaped parasites that cause them to have nightmares at night. And said nightmares seem to operate under the Freddy Krueger logic. If you die in the dream, you die in real life. Actually, it's not even as simple as that, because if you die in the dream, as much as the comic has explained so far, you get infected by the virus that these parasites carry. and you mutate into some gross, disgusting aberration of nature. Horrific creature right out of a Katsuhiro Otomo story.
Right.
Imagine Tetsuo at the end of Akira, to give you a proper example. They are about as unwieldy to look at, which really does convey the idea that these monstrosities are truly to be feared. Essentially, when they mutate into these monsters, they go on a rampage and kill anyone they come across. Not only that, but these parasites do exist in the real world, and once they are uncovered, they can infect people while they are awake. So essentially, the characters living in this world, they are living in a constant nightmare, regardless if they are awake or sleeping. The nightmare has become reality, basically. And the manga does a great job in conveying this oppressive feeling, the almost claustrophobic, entrapping feeling of existing in a world where the day does not come to vanquish the horrible night. Instead, every single day is a horrible night to have a curse. Yes, it's like that. But that is not the one element that had me really interested in this manga to begin with.
Yeah.
Now, the one element that really fascinated me is that the people inhabiting this world, they look like characters from PaRappa the Rapper. So they're all anthropomorphic animals in a style that's directly inspired from the PaRappa games, specifically Jammer Lemmy, the spin-off, which had a great influence in this artist if any of his artworks are of any clear indication. So there is this interesting juxtaposition in between true body horror and Animal Crossing that just takes the cake, in my opinion. It's very artistically intense in that regard. And that juxtaposition, that contrast becomes even more powerful when those cute-looking animals get infected by the T-virus and become abominations, and they are slowly infected and the virus takes over their bodies, and they mutate into horrifying entities of unspeakable lineage.
Now you just get me thinking of Isabel going like, "Hey, Mr. Bear, lovely day today. Oh my gosh!"
Mr. Mayor has been infected.
I was more thinking Isabel just got infected.
So basically, it's early David Cronenberg meets PaRappa the Rapper, and I love it, and I cannot get enough of it, even though the English translation made by the same person has its problems, especially since the story is almost entirely dialogue-driven. But nevertheless, I would recommend to check out this web manga, which is titled Spiral of Nightmares. I'll leave the link in the description so you can go and check it out for yourself. It is published on Tapastic, and you can find it and read it there, and then you can come back here and tell me what did you think about it. Or not. I don't care. It's your life, not mine. And on that note, I guess we can conclude yet another successful podcast that I will have so much fun editing. Oh boy, I cannot wait.
Yeah, sorry about that. I hope you can get through it quite fine and dandy. Then.
No, I will not. I'm not fine. I'm not okay. I love recording podcasts, but editing them is my own personal spiral of nightmares. The nightmare has become podcast.
And suddenly Madhog is infected and suddenly turns into a monstrosity.
Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this episode of something that we do. Yes.
Yes, that's totally something that we do.
chop chop, go away, fuz roda, and what have you. Good night, everybody.
Cheerio, no chaps.
Skyrim, Todd, meme, and all of that. Bye.
Take care of yourselves.